When we're talking about jumping higher, Isaiah and I like to use cars as an example. And if 2 foot is an all-wheel drive 700 or 640 horsepower Lamborghini, then 1 foot jumping is a McLaren Orange 720S. It's finesse, it's light, it's got turbo, it's got torque when you're at higher RPMs. But when you're looking at 2 foot, you're talking all-wheel drive, immediate, naturally aspirated torque right to those four freaking wheels as soon as you touch that throttle. And boy, oh boy, does that thing scream. But the McLaren, it's more subtle, but it's faster, it's quicker. It gets momentum and then it just takes off like a rocket ship. So yeah, I personally, I'm a McLaren guy. Love me a McLaren. Okay. Shout out to my boy over there at Scottsdale, Ralph Pond, skipping rocks on the pond with Ralph today, chit-chatting about technology. But we're talking about 1 foot jumping. We're talking about best 1 foot exercises for jumping higher. And I'm going to start off, Isaiah. Did you think of any immediately while I was going through my beautiful soliloquy about what you do and don't maybe prefer?
I did not, but I can think of it immediately right now.
Okay, you got one on your mind right now. First exercise for you.
Yeah,
we'll go with
for 1
6.
foot. 1 foot specifically.
1 foot specifically. What do you got?
I got a good one.
I got a big one too.
Guaranteed to increase your vertical.
Go ahead.
Your 1 foot vertical. Depth jumps with not a big knee bend. Focus on a very as quick of a ground contact time as you can, and get up as high as you can.
Okay, so explain why you picked that one.
I picked that one because the joint angles are very specific to 1 foot. The ground contact times are very specific to 1 foot. And it can overload from the bigger box. You're jumping from a box, so you can get a really good overload on it.
Do you have any personal experience with this, making it, maybe you a little biased towards selecting this one?
I sure do. I do have some
personal. Go ahead. I want you to go ahead and tell me what you real think.
My personal anecdote, I did some highly specific training with some depth jumps performed in this manner, being a big target of the cycle. Did 0 1 foot jumping, and my 1 foot jump went up by 3 inches in a month.
I'll tell you what, I saw that firsthand. This kid literally went from having a lower 1 foot vertical than me to doing a goddamn tamala.
With zero 1 foot jumping reps in there, which shows it's a good experiment because we isolated the variables.
We did. We literally did nothing.
Better at 1 foot jumping by 1 foot jumping. I got better.
He didn't even do he was gonna say 1 foot jumping for 1 foot jumping, and he didn't. He was like, no, depth jumps. And you know what's crazy is there's this.
Who said that?
What I was gonna say, you didn't even say 1 foot jumping for 1 foot jumping as your first exercise. You said depth jumps, and I will say this: the famous, infamous, legendary Yuri Verkhoshansky, my brother from Russia. Yes. Listen, when he was young boy, he said, look, I drop athlete off box, baby piss me off, I drop him from overhead. My daughter Veronica, she has elite vertical leap now because I stress tendon, I shock nervous system, and I create, some call me father of shock training. And that's true. Depth jumps are really that is shock training. So you're shocking the nervous system into generating massive activity in your brain so that you can recruit muscles very, very quickly. I'm trying to think of a good analogy for this. How would you describe what happens?
This reminds me of when you said, what is it? What are the different ways the nervous system?
Rate coding.
Rate coding. When we were in the workout and we were sprinting, I think, and you were like, I need to get my rate coding.
Oh yeah,
I need to rate code more efficiently.
I was like, oh, bro, I know what it is. I'm just not rate coding fast enough. I just have to rate code faster.
Yeah,
it is really just immediate force production, very, very fast force production with high eccentric forces. Where acceleration, you're not going to get quite as much of that. You will, but it's not like, the eccentric forces are a lot lower during acceleration versus like upright sprinting where you're bouncing, which is lower than even depth jumps. Depth jumps are like your body has no idea it's about to hit the ground. It hits the ground and boom, your, eccentric capacities need to be really, really high. Yuri actually says you don't want to look at the ground. You want to slide your foot off and just prepare yourself in the air for landing, but like you
We're
you almost have to have
create a
an
new
element
device.
of like not knowing when the ground's going to hit you.
We're gonna create a new device and a new exercise.
It's called blind depth
blindfolded
jumps.
blindfolded depth jumps where the box is
Goes
variable.
up and down. That is so awesome. I actually like that. No, I'm not kidding. I actually like that, believe it or not. Because
Patent that.
you patent that, write that down.
Right here first.
I think we only need to talk about I think we need to talk about one exercise specifically today, and it's going to be the blindfolded variable depth jump. So what you do, like Isaiah said, is or you could do it like this. You're blindfolded, right? And you jump off the box. So you don't know how high, you really don't know how high you're going to land from. You don't know when the ground's going to hit you.
But the thing is, your body, you kind of know. Like, I feel like.
No, I don't think you would. Your eyes are closed, dude.
I feel like after one rep, you would know, though. Like,
unless
you know
I
how high the box
every
is.
time. Or I tell you to jump higher off the box.
Yeah. Maybe. I feel like I know though. Like if I like this reminds me when I was doing depth drops off of my kitchen table, not kitchen table, my outdoor.
You know what I'm gonna do? We're gonna have 4 sides on the box, and I'm gonna make you spin around until you're dizzy, and then you're gonna have to jump off one of the sides of the box, and the ground is lower on each side of the floor.
See, if you could lower the ground, that would be insane.
We need a hydraulic system. We need a hydraulic box.
Investors are listening to the podcast.
If you're a venture capitalist and you want to help us create a hydraulic system for depth jumps, that would be helpful. And this is all based on the premise that your body gets higher loading when it doesn't know how high. You can't anticipate the ground.
Yeah.
Which is all fully an assumption that we don't know if that's actually true. But
I'm gonna call it the shock box.
The shock box. That is so good. I actually love that. Okay, so I think we only need 3 exercises. We're already like 8 minutes into this. And okay, so the next one is going to be running. That's the next best one. And I'm talking about
a really good one.
Yeah, running. And I'm talking running slow, running fast, running pretty fast. Because here's the thing. Fat don't fly. And fat really don't fly when you're a 1-foot jumper. If you are not shredded, like, I want to say something inappropriate, but I'm trying to be better these days. You need to be shredded. You got to be diced. You got to be lean. You got to look like beef jerky. Okay. When you take your shirt off, people got to be like, I didn't know that you could get a vein in your abdomen like that. Even leaner than that. No, you're flat. I want no flexing. I'm talking literally 4% body fat.
Yeah.
Nothing. Okay. So that's why. That's the first one. The second one is because most 1-foot jumpers suck at generating force at deep ranges of motion. And they oftentimes avoid it at all costs, myself included. And the great way to get overloading in very specific knee joint angles is running, almost the identical range of motion, if you will. And you're able to get really high rate coding, really high motor recruitment, really high rate of force developments, both eccentrically and concentrically, and it makes you skinny. The Get Skinny Quick program is sprint 3 days a week, 4 days a week, and then also add in some tempo running. Now you're getting all that repeated loading. And I'm pretty damn sure if we were to look at tendon stiffness in distance runners or runners in general, they've got, or I would say, if you could somehow measure deformation and the ability of tendons to like deform and maybe cross-sectional area, I think that distance runners have really, really pliable, efficient tendons, specifically like that 800-meter pace type person. Like some great high jumpers are amazing 800-meter runners and 400-meter runners. It's really common. And I think it's because the tendon properties are somewhat similar. Like you have similar ground contact times because they're longer than like upright sprinting. So you don't have to be crazy stiff like you do in a 100-meter dash. You got to be a little bit more compliant in the tendon. And I think that when you get those repeated contacts, that there's some evidence that indicates that the tendons will adapt in a positive manner. Maybe the downside is the direction. The direction of the forces is different though. Like you're still like pushing down and getting eccentric forces, but it's not like horizontal braking forces like you would see in 1-foot jumping, which are really, really, really important.
I'm curious if the guy that I did the podcast with the other day, he did a challenge to increase his vertical in 30 days or to run a sub 5-minute mile in 30
Oh,
days.
if his vertical went up?
And after the 30 days with 0 vertical jump training, he went to the basketball court and he was jumping way higher. I'm curious if he was a 1-footer because he was doing a lot of like,
you know what's
he was
crazy?
doing a lot of mile runs and then a lot of like sprint training for the mile. So like longer sprints and speed endurance type of stuff. And I bet you he was a 1-footer.
You want to know something crazy? When
Yeah.
I first started basketball my senior year, I didn't play basketball my sophomore and junior year because I got in a fight with a kid named Jake Thelman. And this kid, literally in the middle of practice, because I got a rebound, he got mad and he started elbowing me in the face and I got a bloody nose. And then he elbowed me in the throat. And then I went to block a shot and he intentionally ducked and I flipped over top of him. And then stupid dealerships, dude. Should I answer this? No, I'm not going to answer that, loser. So no, I'm just kidding. That was ironically the guy I was talking about cars with. Anyways, so he, I get in this fight with this kid, and I'm like, we're walking down the court because I was playing a lot of 2K at the time. You might not know this, but 2K increases your basketball IQ quite a bit because you're just literally getting visual reps, watching, playing basketball, even to a certain extent, controlling them, deciding where you want to be positioned, kind of seeing the floor a little bit different. The AI teaches you, the game teaches you a little bit. And like it teaches you ball movement, where positioning, where you need to go, if you pay attention. So I come back after like playing a ton of 2K and dude, I was actually a far better player. I'm talking like I was in the right spots at the right time. I'm getting rebounds. I'm confident. I'm like, I feel like I've done this a million times. So I go up, I grab a rebound. And I mean, at the time, I literally probably had like 40 in vertical off one in high school. Like I was pretty freaking athletic at like 15, 16. I go up, I snag this rebound. I damn near dunk on this kid over the back of him, but my knee goes in the back of him because I'm a 1-foot jumper and he's trying to box me out. And I was getting pissed. So I did a full speed takeoff and I did knee him in the back and probably in the kidney. Probably hurt quite a bit. We're talking MMA level of knee drive here. And, I kind of felt bad. I apologized. And he's just walking down the court. F you, F your mom, F you. I'm going to effing kill you, blah, 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 blah. And the head coach is just sitting there watching. It goes on for like 5 minutes. Like I'm talking 4 or 5 different exchanges. And eventually I'm like, dude, I literally in the middle of practice get the ball and I'm like, screw this. I was like, you guys are the worst team I've ever seen. This is the worst experience I've ever seen on a team. If you call this a team, and I pointed to the head coach and I was like, you're not doing anything about this and you're watching it firsthand. I was like, what kind of head coach are you? What kind of leader are you? And I looked and the other kid was laughing. I was like, what are you laughing at? I was like, what kind of leader do you think you are? You're not doing shit about this. I'm like, you think you're going to create good culture on this team? You think the locker room's going to be a fun place for us to be at? And I walked out of practice and I quit my sophomore year. That's how I quit. And the head coach the next day was like begging me to come back. And I was like, no. I was like, I'm done. And that's how I quit basketball. I don't know if you know that story, Isaiah. So then I come back my senior year only because I wanted to dunk, right? And I was just like having fun. I was like, I'm sick of like trying too hard in high school. Like I'm sick of training 20 hours a week in track. Like my head coach wasn't letting me do my own training. It was a real pain in the butt. So I come back and I start doing cross country because my girlfriend at the time was on the team. I run for whatever, like an hour a day or something like that. And my vertical went to doo-doo. I couldn't dunk off the dribble. But within 2 weeks, my vertical was higher than it had ever been. After jumping, I wasn't lifting during cross country. I wasn't lifting during basketball. I literally was just jumping. So I went from distance running. It was like block periodization. Distance ran every day for 3 months, playing basketball every day for 2 weeks. My vertical goes up higher than it's ever been. It made no sense. And I think part of the reason why is 1, I was leaner. 2, my tendons were probably had solid adaptation. And 3, I recoordinated. I basically had all these like physiological structural changes that were actualized by actually going out and dunking. And I've said this before, but you only need a small dose of like very intense neurological stimuli to see really positive adaptations. And it's funny because that's pretty much exactly what Yuri says. He's like, more jumping is not better. Like more depth jumps are not better. Very low dose depth jumps are better. And doing all the other stuff to get the positive adaptations in the structure of the tissue is why a lot of the time you need to do very specific loading over time, like very high volume, extensive plyos, intensive plyos, barbell squat jumps, kettlebell squat jumps. Then he goes into depth jumps, depth drops, and then depth jumps. And I think that's part of the reason why. So yeah, that's my my lens on some of that. And I guess we'll go with the third one and we'll close it out after this, after my little soliloquy. Isaiah, what is the third exercise and why did you pick it?
any lift where there is an eccentric overload. The one that I'm thinking about for some reason, it just popped out of the ether, are like drop squats with heavy weight, where you're like and drop at like a half or a quarter and just like, and then
I made you do that.
yeah, I do remember that.
How did you feel? When was it? What I remember when I told you to do it, I made you do them in Los Altos. I know that. And Austin was really good at them,
And
ironically.
during the depth jump, 1 foot jumping cycle where my 1 foot went up.
Was it quarter rhythm quarter squats? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah. I don't even know. I guess they
I didn't do them fast. It was one at a time. You dropped
100%. It was with 100% of my deep squat max, and I was doing sets of like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Just dropping into a quarter. It was insane.
And then try to stand up as fast as you can. So the weight hits you. Like it punches your legs.
And that's like the bar whip lift.
Yeah, it is. You know what it's reminiscent of is the hex bar jumps that you were doing with me accelerating you downward. It probably felt somewhat similar.
Very similar.
Yeah,
very
where your forces are just crazy.
I bet you if I would have done, I've been tempted to, because I can tell when my 1 foot is like good. But obviously I don't want to risk my knee blowing up. But I feel like after I did all the hex bar jumps and all that stuff, I bet you my 1 foot was crazy. Like right after that.
Really?
Yeah. Like every time I go into the court, I want to take off one. Like I just have that like feeling of
when
like,
I do a lot of 2 foot, I feel that way until I try it, and then I'm like, oh nope. Like,
especially now with the sprinting. Now that they're sprinting, like
oh yeah, it probably feels pretty like kind of like good, like you're ready to do it. Yeah, get some hamstring activity, hip activity. We can try it. If we're gonna do it, now's the time.
I just don't know if I want to. I might be good, maybe. I don't want to risk it.
Yeah, I was just saying. I'm not saying you have to. I'm just saying if you're going to, now's the time, because you're really far out from when we want to peak. Which
this is what I did last year, and I flared my knee up.
And you regretted it.
But last year I went balls to the wall. It was like a 2-hour 1 foot session where I was like, "Whoa, I can do this."
That was with Austin. Then you like sprained your ankle or something like that.
No, my meniscus. I like stepped on someone's foot.
You're talking about the mega session.
Yeah.
That was not good. You were jumping like shit on that day off too.
Yeah.
It was not good. So he goes, I'm going to just do 1 foot. And then he hurt himself. It's pretty dumb. But
anyways, I think those are some 3 good exercises.
I like those. Yeah. Depth jumps, running, and super maximal eccentric rhythm squats.
Quarter squats.
And then the last one is anything that will help your tendons survive. The blitzing that is 1 foot jumping. Because it is going to wreck you. But yeah, that being said, we'll close it off here. If you guys are interested in getting coaching, go to teachmestrength.com and sign up, where yours truly will work with you on a day-to-day basis. We've trained up our coaches. They know exactly how we like things done. And between all of us, we will make sure that you get the creme de la creme of programming. So yeah, that's all we have for you. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Ciao.